Now, I look around and what I see is a world that isn't working properly. In the West, I see people diseased and dying through excess. There's too much of everything. There's too much food, there's too much alcohol, there's too much drugs, and there's too much money. And in the East, I see people diseased and dying through lack. There's not enough. There's not enough food, there's not enough water, there's not enough jobs, and there's not enough money. I see endless wars with no resolution in sight. I see people everywhere, disconnected from one another and the land which they live. I look at these global issues and I think, how can I help solve them? I've decided to start in Laxey. I am passionate and dedicated to encouraging positive change upon our planet, person to person, and believe that anything is possible when care, compassion, and understanding are applied. Now, I'd like to share a little bit about the journey I've been on over the past 12 months, which has led me here today. It was exactly a year ago. I was hanging out with 3 close friends, and one of the girls had recently returned from travelling India. She was feeling a little bit lost as to which direction to take a career in, so we asked her some questions about what was important to her. Her answer was this.
I just want to do something I enjoy with people I enjoy being with.
That was, I just want to do something I enjoy with people I enjoy being with. She's a bit of an idealist. But this simple statement really struck me and made me too wonder, is there something else I'd rather be doing? So we all talked about actually how amazing it would be to do something together, and pretty soon we were carried away with a vision of us all running a tea shop. We spoke about how we could host events and workshops and offer education and information on subjects like health and nutrition. We excitedly started to envision an environment where people could come and be creative, share ideas worth spreading, and connect. Our main focus was upon developing and facilitating intra-community connections, and by the end of the evening, we all had our hearts set on opening a community centre together. Now, this isn't the first time we've had ideas, but they've never actually led anywhere. So we talked about what stands between the people who do things and the people who don't. We were trying to figure out whether we were the people who could do things or not. We uncovered the not-so-profound secret that it's the people who do things that do things, and it's the people who don't. This did, however, have a profound effect on a shift in my perception of what is within the realms of possibility for myself to achieve. It's tremendously liberating to realise that you are as able as anyone if you are devoted to the things you want to make happen. So we made a commitment that night to meet up a minimum of once a week with the intention of taking a step closer to our goal, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem. Logic told us that if we continued to do so, we would eventually reach our goal. After 6 months of Monday morning meetings, which consisted of drinking tea and what seemed to make very little progress, we managed to secure a premises for our project. And 2 months after that, we had our open day. Now, we've set up as business, although we're not for profit, so we operate more like a social enterprise where all the profits invested back into the business. We sell recycled craft and second-hand items donated by the locals. We offer food and drink for free, although we do accept donations. Between the sales and donations, we're managing to sustain the centre. We have a little library where people are free to take, borrow, swap books as they please, and we offer free Wi-Fi. Now, although we're all well accustomed to living on low incomes, and we know how to make the most out of a little money, the task of turning an empty shop into the community centre with no funds was a challenge indeed. But we managed to kit the whole place out with unwanted items from Freecycle, the local amenity sites, and excess stuff from our own homes. I had a shocking amount. We collected unwanted furniture, fabrics, paints, cutlery, cups, and anything else we could recycle. One man's junk truly is another's treasure. We made new covers for old cushions out of scrap fabric along with curtains. And luckily my partner is a very handy man, so he designed and built the display units and shelves. We did have a bit of a panic about a month before we opened on how we were going to create a counter with no money. My partner had made a comment that we were in danger of looking like my first shop with a scroll desk and pretend till. Yeah, that vision gave us enough motivation to search the internet for inspiration on recycled counters. We found this. After a fire at the School of Architecture at the Delft University of Technology, they rebuilt their reception desk with books salvaged from the library. So we spent the next few weeks back and forwards from the amenity sites, loading our cars up with unwanted hardback books, and we completed our mission about midnight the night before we opened. It's a real feature and always a talking point for new visitors. This project made us realise just how much can be achieved without money when people come together and spend nothing but their time. With our project now complete, we were free to start developing new ideas within the centre, so when we heard about time banking, we knew this was the perfect project to help us meet our objective. So what is time banking? Time banking is a system of reciprocal service exchange where time is used as currency. Every time credit has the value of an hour, and everyone's hour is as valuable as each other's. Viewing time in this way is congruent with the truth that all life is equal. Time banks have helped deliver healthcare, build social support networks for vulnerable groups such as the elderly and those with learning disabilities, and foster culturally specific initiatives such as women's rights in Senegal. But time banks are flexible, so they can be adapted to meet the needs of the community they're operating in. In my village, I think it will be used largely for services that would normally be done on a volunteer basis, like feeding the neighbours' pets, or picking up someone's shopping or babysitting. Using it in this way offers incentive to do favours for one another. But they can also be used for services such as hairdressing, DIY jobs, or gardening. An example of a typical service exchange would be a teenage boy looking for some extra tuition, and a retired tutor looking for some basic garden maintenance. Now, a direct credit swap, such as this one, has the added value of building connection. Now, not only do these two people have a need met, but they now know each other, and maybe they'll say hello when they pass in the village. Now, although time banking is a system of currency, its main emphasis is in the social sphere, not the economic sphere. Daniel Airley's book, Predictably Irrational, offers some insight into what this means. He argues that we live in two worlds simultaneously. There's the market world, where everything is rooted in the exchange of money, goods, and competition. And there's the social world, where we do favours for one another and volunteer for community or charity organisations. There's a useful example to illustrate what happens if you mix the market world with the social world. A daycare centre was discontent that parents were picking up their children late, so they introduced a fine to help solve the problem. But instead of reducing the rate actually increased. Why would this be? By introducing the market world into the social world, parents now felt that it was acceptable to pick up their children late because they paid for it. Other observations of non-profit organisations echo this result. As soon as you start paying volunteers for basic activities, their motivation drops sharply. So if time credits serve as currency, does time banking introduce the market world into the social world? It appears the contrary is the case, and that time banking could serve as an engine for mutual exchange and co-creation within the social world. Time banking has been attributed to Edgar Kahn, who believed that one of the major failings of many social service organisations was their unwillingness to enrol the help of those people they were supporting. He called this a deficit-based approach to social service, where people were viewed only in terms of their needs. Time banking takes an asset-based approach, which focuses more upon the contributions which everybody can make to their community. He theorised that time banking could help rebuild the infrastructure of trust and caring, which strengthens families and communities. And he hoped that it would enable individuals to become more self-sufficient, insulate themselves from the unpredictable nature of politics, and tap the capacity of those who were in effect being dismissed as freeloaders. So what does time banking do? It recognises people as assets, it promotes equality, it encourages intergenerational activities, and it strengthens communities. Now, I'm not suggesting that time banking can replace the monetary system entirely, but it can perhaps help fill the gaps that were traditionally filled by extended family or neighbours. The added bonus is it helps us realise that we all have skills that are valued by others. You know, I have been so surprised at the amount of people who have told me that they would love to be part of a time bank, but they haven't got anything to offer. Normally, after a few questions, you discover that they speak 3 languages, they're an aromatherapist, and they can do bookkeeping. It's really quite standard for people to not recognise their value. One boy said to me, "I definitely can't do anything. The only thing I can do is fix cars." He was a mechanic. By turning the focus away from paper and back to what has a true value, societies may undertake a radical social shift, enabling us to move into networks of cooperation and away from competition. Belonging to mutually supportive and secure social networks brings more meaning to our lives and more opportunity to rebuild our trust in one another. There's nothing innovative about what I'm suggesting here today. I'm simply promoting a revival of values and systems which already exist but have been laying somewhat dormant. Now, luckily, I'm on a time limit because I've got a lot to say and I could stay all day, but I'll wrap this up. I would like now to speak directly to those of you who feel inspired to integrate this system into your own communities, but feel you may need money, special skills, or qualifications to do so. As a young parent who left school early with no qualifications, I would challenge that. All you need is an interest in positive change and, of course, a little time. It appears I am part of a generation where community spirit is lost, and it's been replaced with segregation and an every man for himself attitude. As humans, connection to one another is inherent, so we are naturally drawn towards systems that enable this. The economy is fragile, non-renewable resources are diminishing, and the environment is endangered. If we want to survive, I believe we must invest our energies into creating and implementing new systems which are sustainable and align personal goals to meet the needs of the whole. So many of us see the problems we are faced with, but we are overwhelmed with the scale of them, so we do nothing because we feel so powerless. The key to claiming back this power is by taking responsibility for oneself. There isn't anybody else. There never has been, and there never will be. There is only you, and there is only now. So let us stop blaming other people, other countries, or our governments, and let us look at what we as individuals can do to create the change we wish to see. Smile at strangers. Look after your health. Support local businesses. Stop spending money on the things you don't need, and start spending time on the things that you love. And look at me, looking at you, and know that we are not separate. Individually, we are powerful, and united, we are unstoppable. So let us start to make the changes essential for our survival on this planet, and we can continue to evolve together as one. Thank you.